Welcome to the Christ Central Devotional. I'm Alistair Semple, one of the group here, and we are continuing through our series in the book of Mark, and I'm going to share my screen with you as we go through this. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not once I called official life. So just before we come to the passage, Jesus is in a phase where there are 3 different groups of people who pose 3 different questions to him. We've already seen the first group, the chief priests, teachers of the law, sometimes called scribes, and the elders. These are the temple authorities, and their question is very much, why do you get to do what you do? Who let you do this? Because it certainly isn't us. Temple authorities is in the temple. They ask him a question about authority, and he talks to them about John the Baptist. They refuse to answer him. He refuses to answer them. Today's one we'll get to is a different one. Pharisees, Herodians. These are the people who genuinely have the ear of the people, either as the Pharisees, nationalists for Israel, or Herodians, collaborators with the Romans. These are the puppet leaders, Herod being installed by Rome. Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar? Is this next question? It's a political question. It's an incendiary question. Jesus is about to answer it. We're going to get to it. But it's worth also noting that there are a third group who we'll get to tomorrow, the Sadducees. It's a theological question. It's actually a philosophical question. At the resurrection, whose wife will she be? If you want to know what that's about, then you need to come in again tomorrow. But it's a question of philosophy. And each of these 3 questions are questions designed to put Jesus down, to somehow sidelight him, to make him look stupid, or to exclude him. So we've just had the run-in with the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and later they, that's them, sent some of the Pharisees and Herodians to Jesus to catch him in his words. This is an unholy brew, can I just say? This coalition across all the different power bases that went to make up how Jerusalem worked in those days is an unholy coalition. This is where the phrase sort of unlikely bedfellows would come from. This is such a strange thing. All you can see is that all of human authority in its different forms and flavors has arrayed itself against someone that they see as a threat. They came to him, Jesus, and said, "Teacher, we know you're a man of integrity. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are, but you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth." I mean, that's a lovely thing to say, isn't it? Buttering Jesus up nicely. His antennae, you wouldn't have to be someone who could read the heart of man to actually know that something's coming. Well, okay, what's the sucker punch here? So is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? Should we pay or shouldn't we? Simple question. Incendiary answer. He's being asked it of a group of nationalists and a group of collaborators. Any answer which makes one look good makes the other look bad and gives them an excuse to do something. Either way, as the crowd watches, there is a question asked here where there is no good answer. But Jesus knew their hypocrisy. Why are you trying to trap me? Well, he knew that. But I guess for the purposes of the crowd, it gets asked. Bring me a denarius and let me look at it. So they brought him a coin, and then he asked them, whose image is this and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then Jesus said to them, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. And they were amazed at him. A question with no good answer is so neatly sidestepped that Jesus is Teflon at this point. Nothing has stuck to him. They thought they were about to cause him a genuine problem, and he's just walked through the crowd. So, coming back to our morning, what can we take from this? What do we need to hear? What do we need to know? Well, it's very unlikely that we'll ever face this sort of coalition of the damned, all arrayed against us, all focused on us, all wanting to somehow prevent us. That's very unlikely. However, there are certainly occasions where the circumstances around us can apparently conspire to make things exceptionally difficult. So where do we go there? Who do we trust? What resources do we draw upon? In all of this, while it's invisible, we also know it's true. Jesus trusted in his Father. In the middle of the maelstrom, and it was only going to get more intense from here, he trusts his Father. So it might be that you have experiences in your life where you can think, actually, I know what that's like to go through that. And it was wonderful the way that God gave me the strength to go through it. Well, perhaps you get to talk about some of that, because it might be that others are in a place where they're in the storm at the moment. They're in the point where they're not sure that they hear the voice of God or can see the wisdom. Where is it? Or maybe it's in us, those friends, those brothers and sisters around us today. Because actually we don't do these things alone. We do it as family. That's what we're called to. That's the joy of church when it works as a healthy thing, that we're not alone. It's not only the Lord, but the Lord through the people around us. So let's break into our groups. Let's pray. Let's talk about how we get through the tough times, how we hear God in the middle of the storm.